Workshop, Naval Architects. Ghost of Malkadir. Personal log. Poranias. As the Banished expands beyond the darkest reaches of space, Atriox has expressed his desire to bring a new and formidable fleet to bear. The kind that would be spoken of in the old stories across the shattered remains of the Three Moons. It was for this purpose that Ira's Workshop was born, and thus far, our rudimentary efforts to acquire ships throughout the years have yielded promising results. Since our revolution began so long ago, we have committed our resources into bolstering the Banished's presence among the stars, utilizing both Jiralhanae and Covenant-sourced designs to rapidly acquire an impressive and fearsome navy. For the younger generations to come, I have prepared a detailed account of this navy to ensure the dream of Atriox is kept alive for all the battles that are sure to come. With that, this is the Banished Fleet. From the day Atriox rose up against the Covenant on Algolus to the present, the Banished seized what ships were within our sights to bolster our burgeoning strength. Key to the initial expansion of the Banished fleet were the appropriated Covenant vessels supplied by allied shipmasters or hijacked by Jiralhanae boarding parties. However, now that they are cut off from the Empire's vast naval infrastructure, many of these craft have proven difficult to maintain at optimal operational capacity. The smallest and weakest of the Covenant vessels we have acquired are the Cedar Pattern Heavy Corvettes, mass assembled during the Covenant's relentless conquest and enslavement. Heavy corvettes traveled to distant stars, charted dangerous slip-space routes, and brought many species to heel. During the War of Annihilation, they proved more than capable of engaging human frigates and helping facilitate campaigns of occupation and interdiction. They are small and lightly armed, equipped with 6 Melusian pattern heavy plasma cannons, 16 Karnax new pattern plasma bombardment mortars, and 11-foot pattern pulse lasers. However, heavy corvettes can deploy fighters in fleet battles, screening support ships from enemy fast attack craft, suppressing ground-side targets, and even conduct independent operations as scouts and raiders. The Cedar is among the most nimble and discreet pattern of heavy corvette, with repulsor engines of peerless efficiency and Ushab pattern stealth generators, which renders them almost invisible to both human and Covenant long-range sensors. These traits made them extraordinarily valuable and coveted now, particularly by pirate raiders and rebels. It was for this purpose that Atriox kept one for himself, the Elegy's Lament. This vessel served as his flagship in the early days of the Covenant's downfall, before he replaced it with a far larger vessel. While the heavy corvettes are useful to our needs, Intrusion corvettes are more strategically valuable in their own right. Initially part of the Covenant's own stable of specialized warships, Intrusion corvettes were originally small vessels built for supporting anti-ship efforts in space, as well as aiding in the insertion of infantry and light scouting vehicles when deployed groundside. Masking the presence of an invasion fleet, these ships played an important role in giving the Covenant a strategic advantage as they descended on countless worlds and rained fire down upon them. But we, Banished, have ultimately stripped down and extensively modified the underlying framework to suit our fleet's needs. Escharum himself kept one for his flagship during our occupation of the glassed world the humans called Reach, when we sought after a Forerunner portal site hidden on that barren rock. In the end, our efforts were successful, and it was through the war chief's cunning and brilliance that delivered Atriox from the Ark. A far more formidable class of warship we have acquired are the Covenant cruisers. Sleek and ever vigilant, cruisers were the iron heart of the Covenant's fleets. These powerful vessels hunted down and neutralized threats like a devouring throng of Drekar beasts. Their silhouettes reflected large marine creatures found on outlying Sangheli worlds. Their ubiquity belies their deadliness, for the weapon capabilities of Covenant cruisers can easily bring worlds into submission and populations to the brink of extinction. In every major conflict and occupation campaign waged by the Covenant, cruisers played a decisive role, making the sound of their arrival a clear death knell to those unfortunate enough to dwell below. Among the cruisers in our fleet, the most common are Ket-pattern battle cruisers, once produced in vast quantities by myriads of shipyards across Covenant space. These battle cruisers were the workhorse design that once served a wide variety of functions for the Covenant Navy, with a robust litany of patterns that still see regular modification. Its sleek, formidable silhouette is immediately recognizable to most, filling the skies like a dark blanket of doom. Although Ket and Elephant patterns dominated all other battlecruiser designs, they deeply influenced other cruisers due to their success against the humans, and the innumerable campaigns conducted in past ages. At the height of the Covenant's tyranny, the Ket patterns were outfitted with a single Profero pattern excavation beam, an Ignis pattern plasma lance, 42 sono-powered plasma cannons, 16 Serpents pattern plasma torpedo silos, and 50 Gon pattern pulse lasers. We made use of these cruisers in the early days of our rebellion, when the prophets hounded us without end. They continue to be useful even now, while the ashes of the Covenant war against one another and the might of the Banished spreads across the galaxy. Yet of the Covenant ships we have procured throughout the years, the Drekars have proven to be one of the most useful. When the High Prophet of Truth prepared to lay the groundwork for his misguided attempt to throw the Sangheli from the halls of power, he personally commissioned the design of a new class of warship, one that combined the technological advancements of the Covenant with the rugged aesthetic and force application of the Jiralhanae. The first examples were still in the final stages of construction when the Great Schism shook the Empire to its core, setting in motion events that quickly resulted in the Covenant's rapid splintering. In the following years, clandestine raids on informant cells and Covenant armories were launched as the Banished quietly sought to procure these new vessels and secure a vital win for our naval capabilities. Eventually, such efforts proved successful, yet to what end remains largely a mystery, even to me. What I can say is that our War Master commanded a Drekar of his own, the Hammer of Fate, when he sought to acquire a powerful weapon against the Apparition and her guardians on the dead world of Nesca. The vessel would be destroyed during the operation, however, but as with all things, we succeeded in capturing this weapon, this Trikala, for our impending invasion of Zeta Halo. Analogous to humanity's Prowlers, the Drekar is a powerful and versatile stealth vessel. Though small in number, the Banished complement of these ships provided critical and implementing strategies that ultimately resulted in our initial success on Zeta Halo. Though how many Drekars remain in our fleets is a closely guarded secret, kept only by Atriox's Council of War Chiefs. In the years since the Prophet's downfall, many more patterns of ships from the Old Covenant have been added to our fleet. Destroyers, both light and heavy, myriads of cruisers, and even a super carrier has been assimilated into our glorious armada. Yet all would pale in comparison to the mightiest vessel we had once commanded not long ago, the enduring Conviction, the flagship of the Banished. It was one of the Covenant's most formidable carrier designs, a siphon pattern assault carrier, outfitted with scores of plasma projectors, plasma turrets, and pulse laser turrets. The Conviction was a warship without peer. And from what I understand, it spilled quite a lot of blood throughout the war, shattering many human vessels in its wake. Shortly after the close of the Covenant's war against humanity, the War Master himself led an assault on a base complex on the swamp moon of Kastroda, occupied by the Sangheli-led fleet of recalcitrant ire. During the attack, Atriox and his forces were captured and brought on board the assault carrier to be confronted and sentenced by the vessel's shipmaster, Volir. However, what transpired was a dramatic and unexpected shift of allegiance, as Atriox presented the shipmaster with a compelling case that Volir and his crew would actually benefit greatly from joining the ranks of the Banished. Valuing what might offer the greatest future for those under his command, Volir pledged his entire ship and crew in service to the War Master, with the promise of a much more secure place in the galaxy. The enduring Conviction thus became the flagship within the Banished fleet, and it was chosen to ferry a massive invasion force on a mission to the Forerunner Ark to claim its resources and riches. Upon arrival at the Great Foundry, however, our forces encountered strong human resistance, resulting in a vicious struggle that would ultimately see the carrier's untimely destruction by the installation's vast Sentinel defense force. The loss of the Conviction has left our war brothers stranded there, even to this day. But while Atriox relied almost exclusively on vessels procured from Covenant fleets during the early years of our Great Revolution, the collapse of the Old Empire and political volatility of the galactic stage has afforded the Banished an opportunity to reclaim the essence of our honored Jiralhanae heritage and extend to all shipwrighting and maritime endeavors. Building on the technologies we had taken for granted within the Covenant, entirely new vessels were designed and created in the abandoned shipyards of Oth-Sonnen. Many were presented as gifts by a band of weaklings known as the Children of Oth-Sonnen. Their malformed chieftain, Lytus, provided us with these holdings after we had eliminated his rivals on Doisak, before its destruction at the hands of human AI, and in so doing, within a short time, a new era of Jiralhanae space travel had begun. Foremost amongst these newer vessels are the Karves. Quick to construct and relatively easy to maintain, Karves represent the backbone of the Banished fleet and can serve as escorts to our dreadnoughts, as well as carry out a wide range of mission types on their own. The Karve design is primarily of Jiralhanae origin, but has incorporated elements gleaned from Kigyar shipbuilding methods. While much smaller than their dreadnought cousins, Karve share a similar up-armored prow, designed to be used offensively if necessary. Before the Great Immolation, Karves were leveraged to patrol territories and ferry cargo. But now, They serve the will of Atriox and the planetary invasions we have conducted in the aftermath of the Prophet's downfall. They aided in our occupation of Reach, our incursion on Nesca, and now our invasion of Suban, the blood moon of Sanghelios, where many still battle against the Arbiter's pathetic swords of Sanghelios. But the most common of banished warships is the Dreadnought, a massive powerhouse with a vicious arsenal and awesome tactical capacity for planetary occupation. Like the Crimson Ogre Wolves of Tish's Outland Wastes, at the direction of a skilled shipmaster, a ravenous pack of dreadnoughts can hunt down and decimate any opponent in their path. Banished dreadnoughts represent the culmination of our rise to power, vessels built from repurposed and aggressively modified Covenant hulls, and designed from the ground up to be the vanguard of a new age for the Jiralhanae people. Dreadnoughts were originally created as full-scale occupation ships, equipped with everything necessary to maintain security and military superiority over a world. But when the apparition raised Oth-Sonnen, these powerful warships became much more than a display of military force. They became a lifeline for our entire civilization. Our dreadnoughts are named for the spirits and legends of lost Jiralhanae culture, an ancient system of practices that predates the Covenant. Originally, it was meant to honor what had been lost in the Great Immolation, the disastrous war that engulfed our world in nuclear fire. But since the destruction of Doisak, these dedications have taken on an even greater significance for all those who survived the raising of Oth-Sonnen. The ghost of Gabrakon, the ghost of Barolon, and the very ship I stand upon now, the ghost of Malkadir. All are echoes of the home we have lost. With a length of 2,665 meters and a mass of 127 million tons, the dreadnoughts are the pride of Iris Workshop, the very cornerstones of our art. They are outfitted with massive complements of vehicles, heavy artillery emplacements, and utility equipment. A typical dreadnought is armed with a stasis beam, so it may capture any vessel within its reach, as well as a super heavy grav impact driver, 6 light plasma lances, 10 incinerator plasma cannon clusters, 40 Sindir arrays, 24 plasma torpedo silos, and 70 pulse laser batteries. And it is whispered that our sister ship, the Ghost of Barolon, has dabbled in experimental voltaic application devices, the sort of technology that powers our shock rifles. These are from fragments of Jiralhanae technological knowledge that had survived the Great Immolation. These warships can deploy a full-scale occupation force of over 10,000 warriors. Their cargo bays house thousands of Wraith mortar tanks, war skiffs, chopper scouts, as well as ghost scouts. Yet its greatest advantage is that they can deploy hundreds of mobile bases onto any battlefield of our choosing. Modular drop-based designs allow the Banished to tailor an invasion contingent to fit the needs of a wide variety of mission objectives and environments, providing a plethora of options for military engagement, outpost establishment, and resource allocation. Initial drops generally rely on scouting parties, heavy infantry, and resupply stations. These elements work in concert to secure a given area in order to proceed with the next phase, the establishment of outposts. Banished outposts can be configured for different tasks, from forges and armories to communication arrays and transportation checkpoints. Typically, an outpost will also serve as a de facto command hub until a more robust and centralized local headquarters can be established. All assembled from component sections deployed by orbiting dreadnoughts. Atriox was wise when he delivered a fleet's worth of them to Zeta Halo. When our invasion forces arrived at the ring, they immediately initiated an attack on UNSC forces who had come for their own purposes. At the forefront of the Banished attack were several dreadnoughts, coordinating a sudden and violent barrage of artillery fire and ship-to-ship collisions to disable the UNSC Infinity and its entire escort fleet. Banished boarding craft were quickly dispatched to insert raiding parties directly onto the human supercarrier, slaughtering its crew and scattering what remained, forcing all who survived to evacuate onto the ring's surface. During this raid, the demon was humbled before the might of the War Master and left for dead in the surrounding debris. Following this grand victory, our dreadnoughts turned their attention back toward the ring itself, preparing to deliver legions of infantry and material to the installation's surface. That was the last we heard of them, before the ring unexpectedly entered slipspace, to where no one can say. Nevertheless, the naval presence of the Banished is as expansive as the Banished itself, and there are few to challenge our strength. The Covenant is no more, only ashes remain, and those who still cling to its ways are little better than petty warlords. And now, Cortana is gone, and her upstart empire is broken. Humanity is weak, and their colonies are ripe for conquest. Our fleets have spread out amongst the stars, taking what is rightfully ours: Reach, Nesca, Zeta Halo, Suban. All who resist our might shall be ground underfoot beneath the overwhelming strength of the Banished. Our ambition, our resourcefulness is matched only by our will. The will to adapt. The will to expand. The will to conquer. All in the name of Atriox.